Here we are
We're live
on
Monday Night Live.
I love it every time. It's never going to get old. So if you guys think it's getting old, I'm so sorry because it is literally never going to get old for me.
I'm getting there. I don't know how much longer I can hold that up. Well, welcome everybody. It's so great to be on Instagram, Facebook again tonight for Monday Night Live with Dean Nixon and Kate Semmens, or Kate Semmens and Dean Nixon, either way, with Turningleaf Wellness Center out of sunny St. George, Utah, which is actually rainy right now. But we need it. We love it.
You can't complain about rain when you live in the desert.
No.
That's the way it goes.
Annual rainfall, 6 inches a year. We need all the rain we can get. So here I am, the weatherman, apparently.
So just by way of because I'm a tiny bit competitive, but since apparently Dean's getting tired of Monday Night Live and I'm not, I would not be sad if in the comments you told us if you were tired of it or not.
If you're pro or not.
Yeah.
If you're pro Monday Night Live or positive Monday Night Live. So yeah.
Team Katie. Ooh, this is kind of like a Team Edward, Team Jacob thing. I can't even handle how excited I am about it.
All right. Yeah, so
Team Katie or Team Dean?
But Monday Night Live, we keep it for Kate. And for me, it's got to go.
Everyone that votes for me, I'm going to mail you a cookie for Christmas.
That's cheating. Anyway, on the topic for tonight, we've spent too much time talking about cookies and Monday Night Live. So we're excited to share with you tonight. One of the topics that we want to talk about is talking about swinging into the parent topic a little bit
tonight,
and not just for young children. A lot of times when we talk about parenting, people will be like, "Oh, my kids are older." This is actually for older and younger. It's for all parenting, whether it's grandparenting or whether it's parenting teens or even younger. But one of the things that I wanted to, look, we've already got Team Kate.
Allie says, Team Kate!
Oh my goodness. So anyway, one of the things we want to talk about tonight is we want to talk about the importance of strong mothers or the mother role in raising children and how important that is. And having that role as a mother or whatever that looks like for you as a family is really critical. It is important to have a solid, powerful, strong relationship in the family.
Absolutely. And probably need to broaden this just a little bit too, because not all families have mothers, right?
That's right.
Like a bio mom in the house doing their thing that way, but any strong female role model in a child's life.
Right. And
ideally it's a mother.
And additionally to that, we do have other dynamics where we may have two fathers or two mothers raising the children. The point being is that it's the strong role, and especially if it is for daughters being raised. And this is where we were coming up with it. We were talking today. And one of the things that I've been finding through the years, and Kate as well as all the people voting, they just want cookies. Anyway, we got to stay on topic tonight. This is going to be hard. But the point being is we were talking, and one of the things that I'm noticing is that with the way the media is, the way social media is, the way that it's so easy for young men and women to get their identity outside of themselves and getting it through the glass window, that I always refer to it as the glass window, as in referring to the phones and screens and all of those types of things. We're dealing with young men and women who are still trying to create their identity, starting to create and understand who they are. And what we're finding, what I'm seeing consistently showing up, is that the young women that are doing better in life are young women that have a strong matriarchal presence.
Yes.
And I know we have a lot of different, and I'm not trying to alienate anybody. I hope that makes sense. But if that energy is there, and I don't care who's providing that energy, I don't care if it's being provided by a grandmother or if it's being provided by a biological or adopted mother or a father that's co-parenting and he's providing that energy. But it's that strong energy that helps a child ground themselves. And it has a lot to do with us as parents identifying who we are and being grounded within ourselves. Because what I find is a lot of times parents aren't willing and comfortable and confident enough to stand their ground and to be able to take the brunt of that child's hurt and pain and frustration or resentment that they're continually getting bashed with all day long. Then they come home, and who are they going to dump it on?
Yeah.
Right?
Whoever's there, which is going to be the parents.
Exactly. And so one of the things is, as I was...
Can I stop you for just 1 second? Because you mentioned it's pretty critical for the parent to be grounded in who they are.
Yes.
What did you mean by that? Like grounded in the fact that they are the parent, grounded into the fact of them individually as their human self? Like, what did you mean by that?
That's great. And that's actually where I was wanting to head, because the point being is that all day, especially women, men too, us as well, but women are being combated with issues about themselves, the media, the social media, the all the aspects out there where a woman, it's easy to pick at herself about her body, about her job, her career, or her performance in life and showing up in different ways. So what I'm finding happening is that moms are getting softened up all day by their self-talk because they're not valuing who they are. They're not shutting down the imagination. They're not shutting down the social media and the unhealthy social media, I should say, because there is healthy social media. And they're not shutting those things down. There's the comparison self in there just chewing on them all day. Then the child comes home and explodes on them, and it's hard for them to stand their ground.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I'm talking about staying solid in their self-concept, as in moms and dads, or whoever's taking that role. It's imperative that we stay strong in the essence and understanding of who we are. Because if we don't stand strong, then our children don't have anything to anchor to. The only way for us to stay strong is to take care of ourselves and how we conduct ourselves and talk to ourselves.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, so when the kids come home and they have their reaction to their day, right? And most likely what's happened, at least in my vast experience working with kids in crisis,
which is your job,
right? Then like the requests start coming, right? Like, do your homework, do your chores, do all these things, and then they like lose it.
Right.
So let's maybe talk about how we can overcome, because we were talking prior when we were talking about this topic, there's like the kind of underparenting side of things where it's just like, whatever, it's not worth the battle. I'm not going to go there. I'm done. Just get out of my face. I'm going to go to my room. You go to your room, and then relationships break down. Right. Obviously. Right. So there's that side of it. And then there's the other side, which is just like the power struggle and getting into things like that. So how do we stay out of those extremes?
There's two types. And the underparent side is going to be that self-talk piece again, where we've got to stand strong, we've got to be prepared, we've got to be able to not take things personal. You know, the reason that we take things personal is because of how hard we're being on ourselves. So when we feel ourselves full of self-doubt, self-loathing, negative comments, comparisons, shoulding, I'll be happy wins, and all that stuff is running through us, then what happens is when the child comes home, we're already to that point where it's like, fine, just do I don't care, I'm done. And that's where we have to overcome that. We have to step forward, and we have to be strong enough that we don't allow that to push us back on into a submissive role. Right. The other side of the over controlling my way, and I'm gonna, and get into the power struggle battle is, at that point again, we're still taking care of ourselves. We're still working to control that self-talk. But one of the reasons why we over-parent is because we're judging ourselves as a parent. So we don't want to be to blame. We don't want to be unfair. We don't want to be the problem or the reason. And so we start to oversteer and over-control. And so if we can step back and go, no, this is about the child, so I'm going to include them in the solution. I'm going to work to include them in those solutions and really start to implement really healthy boundaries rather than ruling with an iron fist.
And particularly when we started our conversation earlier, we were talking about young girls, young women who are now themselves coming into, like, even my little like 10, 11-year-old niece, right? Like totally into what's happening on YouTube and Instagram and all of those things, like coming into this crazy world of comparison and judgment and everything, like the ability to be able to have their anchor be strong.
Right. And when parents, specifically when you have a mother that has a strong self-concept, not a fake facade, not a, the facade that I'm confident, but really is grounded in, hey, I'm human. I make mistakes. I don't have to look like Barbie. I'm a good mother. My kids threw up in Walmart. It's cool, right? And not really they don't allow themselves to get unsettled. They don't allow themselves to get unbalanced by the external views. Those parents, those mothers, their daughters tend to be able to see that and follow suit when the social media wave comes at them, when the high school and junior high school wave comes at them. They tend to be able to stay afloat rather than being submerged in the waves of that criticism and external stuff. So that's where I'm coming from with it as a mother. The stronger a mother can be, or the person playing that matriarchal role, the stronger they can be and being unsettled or unrocked by those things, the better the child does. Now, fathers too. I mean, it takes a ton for us as fathers to stand our ground and be consistent. But one of the things that causes us to, as fathers, to have a problem with our daughters is that we don't engage them. We like, oh, I don't know what to do. Go ahead, you handle this.
Right.
And we kind of like, I don't know. Dads, we've got to be able to stand firm, and we got to go, no, this is inappropriate. No, you're not going to talk to your mom that way. And no, these are things that are not okay. And we need to be able to enforce and to back those things up too. So it is both parents need to be involved. But I know in our conversation, we were just talking about how important that role is to whoever's playing that matriarchal role.
Right. And then the comment that just came to my mind, something that you're always saying as we're talking about different things, especially when it comes to parenting and anytime you're trying to lead by example or teach something, is you can't teach what you don't know.
That's right. You can't teach what you don't know.
So you've got to be really working on your sense of self, is what I'm hearing from you.
Yes.
So that your children can have a strong sense of self.
Correct. Yeah. If I can't stay consistent with my boundaries with myself, if I can't stay consistent with my controlling my negative self-talk, my what ifs and my fear of the future and my hanging on to the past, then how can my children see how to do that clearly? And that's what's so important about the workshops that we're doing. Week before last, we did the stress and anxiety workshop, and we came up with those tools and the acronyms that we used in really getting solid. This weekend we've got the boundaries workshop, which is really important one, and that's got to be one that we've got to get parents to and people to. And here's the thing too, and I know we were talking about it earlier, is it's not just for teenage daughters or teenage sons. It's not for that too. It's also, if it's for parents with adult children. And I'm seeing these adult children who are really struggling getting out of the home. They're 21 to 25 to 18 to almost 30 years old, some of them. And they're having a hard time getting out of their parents' home because of that inability to be confident within themselves. And so it applies to all aspects. A lot of times it's that parent going in saying, hey, you're 25. How are we going to get you going? How are we going to I can't this and I can't that. It's like, okay, you know what? I can't, I'm done. Or the over controlling, trying to force a kid, but instead of the empowering, but it really requires the mother and the father to be solid.
Right. And to set boundaries.
And to have the solid, healthy boundaries. Yes.
So I don't know if you heard that, because we haven't mentioned it on a live yet. This is the first time we've mentioned it on a live. We have it on an event on our Facebook page for this Friday night.
What was that accent you were just slipping into? That was,
Anyway, this Friday at 6:30 here at Turningleaf Wellness Center, we are going to be having a boundaries workshop.
Yes.
So we're going to go over boundaries that would be awesome for these kind of situations.
Yes.
As well as boundaries with yourself, boundaries.
And that's where we start.
Right. Yep. The difference between a boundary and a wall.
Yes.
What are some other things that we're covering? I can't remember what the event says.
I can't remember what the event says. I just know that we're going to be talking about how to understand what keeps us from setting boundaries, where are the limitations in ourselves that keep us doing it, being aware of how a boundary is set. So many people out there, so many books, so much literature on boundaries. But for me, it's a simple way to do it. It's just boundaries simplified, quite honestly, boundaries simplified. I think it's the simplest way that I've found to talk to people and explain boundaries.
I love it. So we would love for you to join us. Just call in anytime in the next couple of days and reserve your spot. Call Sydney. She would love to chat with you.
Yes.
And get your spot reserved. It is $20 a person. And once again, it's this Friday, which is the 14th. From 6:30 until 8 o'clock here at Turningleaf Wellness Center. Dean, what's our phone number? I struggle with numbers, you guys. 652-1202.
That's right. You did good.
435-652-1202.
Wow, that's impressive.
That almost sounded like an infomercial.
It did, and you crushed your self-defeating belief.
I know.
That I don't do good with numbers. You
did
did really good.
Thank
you overcame that. But yes, call in and reserves. That helps us know who's coming so we can plan on. But also you can pay at the door. And Sydney's the best person to talk to about that. But again, as we getting close to closing up and wrapping up, the important thing is to really remember that as parents, we have got to really work on ourselves. And again, I know at the beginning we were really directing it towards moms and daughters, but it is for dads as well, grandparents, co-parents, whatever dynamic that you're in, it's fits.
Yeah,
and
if you're helping raise kids in any capacity.
Right, whether they're a 30-year-old child, that's trying to get out on their feet again, to a 3-year-old temper tantrum biter.
Yikes, it's a biter.
It's a biter. It's just always so interesting when parents they come in and they'll sit down and they're like, my child is biting and I think there's something wrong. And I'm like, are they 2 or 3 years old? Yes.
Right on track.
Right on track. They should be hitting and they should be biting. It's not okay. It's not okay. We've got tools for you to help you overcome that. But don't be alarmed if your child is biting. It happens. It's a part of it. It happens to the best of us. But the point being is that we have got to work on the self-concept. We have got to stay grounded with what we allow ourselves to think about us. And one of the biggest things is that we spend more time in our imagination perceiving things that aren't true about who we are. Then we make decisions from that space.
Right.
And that's where we get into trouble. We have to stop making decisions based upon perceived feelings or thoughts about who we are and start making decisions about what is real and what is true. And when we can do that, we can move forward and progress. But when we are consistently, well, this is what's wrong with me, or this is what's happened to me, or I'll be happy when, then we're going to get softened up. Our kids are going to come home, and when they need us to be the strongest, we're going to be the weakest.
Right.
And that's important.
Well, you guys, actually, we're going to run through some of these comments because I see them coming in now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Trisha says, I needed this today.
Oh,
awesome.
good.
You and me both, sister. Jamie says, so true. Sometimes my desire for my kids to be solid in life gives me the push to continue to work on growing myself. That is a really, really good motivator. I completely agree. Mandy Coombs wants to know if the workshop can be recorded, I think, and watched for the same fee.
I don't know. We can look into it.
We can definitely look into it. That's a good idea. It's a long drive to St. George, she said.
Well, we miss you.
Sydney said she thought that was a good idea. Oh, and then Jamie just agreed. So we should totally look into that, recording our workshops and see what we can do.
We'll have to figure it out. And Sydney will figure it out if anybody
Sid's so
can.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's always awesome to be here. Please like and share these videos. Make sure that they get out. Those of you on Instagram, You can like and share it on Facebook if you're on Facebook as well. But also you can also share to our page on Instagram.
Yep.
But we are so grateful for our followers. We're grateful for the feedback we get. Thank you for participating. It's always so fun. Thank you, Kate.
Yes.
Kate
Thanks,
is
Steve.
so funny and awesome. She is so awesome. So thank you all. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday Night Live.
Bye, everybody.